Hello, my name is Renat, and today I will explain very important design pattern, chain of responsibility. Let's start. So, chain of responsibility is behavioral design pattern that lets you pass requests along chain of handlers. So, for example, you have some requests and you need to control these requests. You need to provide some kind of filters to check these requests. So, chain of responsibility allows you to implement this logic. So, you implement some handlers. Each handlers can decide either to process request or to pass it to the next handler in the chain. For example, we have some student and we have some professor, and you need to, as a professor, you need to evaluate student, and you can provide some filters, some checkers, some handlers, which can help you to evaluate this student. Okay, let's introduce some classes. For example, provide a class student. This class has main information about students such as name, mail, and also study history. We have two kind of tasks such as TP task and TD task. Also in this course, we have final project, final exam, and of course, attendance history. And let's consider abstract checker. It's like abstract class of checker interface. And this checker has two methods. First one is check. We need to implement this method to understand pass or no, and also set next method. In this method, we can set the next checker in this chain. Okay. In our example, we have two students, Renat and Yarik. And as you can see on this slide, the students have different study history. They have different grades, different attendance, etc. And in this case, we need to implement and check using our filters, our handlers, or checkers. Let's check. Okay, for example, attendance checker. This checker allows us to understand if this specific student attends some. Let's move on to the real world example and implement some checkers. First checker is attendance checker, and we can set some threshold. It's some kind of number of minimal attended lectures. So if attendance is enough, we pass the student. And second checker is TP checker. So each TP task has some grade, and we need to evaluate all TP tasks, and we need to know if all these grades are greater than our specific threshold. Let's check on real life example, real implementation, real YAML. In this case, we set two threshold for attendance checker and 56 for TP checker. Let's run our tests. And yes, we have this information that Renat failed by TP checker. Let's back to our YAML files. And yes, for Renat, we have some low grade. Okay, let's also check TP grade example, TP max checker. This TP max checker understands if there is at least one TP task with grade greater than some threshold. So we set this TP-max checker and both students passed. Of course, we need to punish cheaters, and of course, we can implement specific checker for this rule. So we set threshold of cheating times and need to understand if this student is honest enough. Let's try, and oh, again, Renat failed by cheating checker. Sorry. So, of course, you can test this checker on your real life data. Just fill these YAML files using your Moodle data and run all this code. Let's finalize advantages and disadvantages of this design pattern. Of course, you can control the order of request handling because we implement set next method. So we can set next any handler. Also, single responsibility principle here. You can decouple, you can decompose classes that invoke operations from classes that perform operation. And you can introduce new handlers to your application without breaking the existing client code. But you need to control all your rules and control all your chain because some requests may end up unhandled. So if you have questions, you can ask, but before the end of this lecture, let's try to run this code from the repository. I have cloned the repository. You can do it yourself. And let's check the README. So first of all, we need to build a Docker image. You can use this command. Check the Docker file. So we have just a very simple parent image, such as Python. We use and we copy all our code files and also run pip install requirements.txt. So next step, we can use and run our tests. So all tests passed. Let's check these tests. So these tests are from our slides. So and test just run all this example. And we can use these tests by hands. Let's run and go inside of this Docker container. So let's check some example. For example, cheating grader. Go to the tests, templates, and cheating grader. So we have free checkers and cheating checker. Go to the students. Renat has one cheating, two cheating, three cheatings. So according to this cheating grader, we need to see that Renat didn't pass these checkers. Go to the README, copy this command and run it. Yes, Renat failed by cheating checker. So you can clone this repository, you can read this README, you can use your information, create search YAMLs, and run all this example inside of Docker container. Thank you very much.